All right, guys. So today I'm going to show you behind the beat of a West Coast beat that I made on Reason, and this was inspired by Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, cult classic, one of my favorite games of all time. And yeah, so one day I decided to jump on here and make a West Coast beat in Reason, and using some samples from Splice and using the Artoria lab. And yeah, I made some fire. So this right here, I'm just going to show you my technique and my thought process behind this particular beat and pretty much how I made it. And I get a lot of DMs and people are asking me, how I make my beats or my process. And so I decided to get on Instagram. I'm sorry, YouTube, and put it together so I can show you guys my thought process behind some of the things I do, and hopefully give you guys some tips or some tricks on something you can use in your production. So let's get to it. All right, so let's the first thing. Let's just do this. Let's go sound by sound. So first, I'm gonna play you guys just the hook. Usually, I start my beats with the hook first, and then once I get into the verse, I start stripping down certain elements. So let me show you real quick. Let me play that for y'all real quick. All right, so that's the elements right here. You can see everything, all the channels. So let's solo. First sound I start out with was a bass instrument for the low end. So you can hear that melody that I played out. Then I layered it with another instrument. Let's check this out. So as you can see, it's in this area right here. It's actually the same melody. I just layered it. I like the top end on the second bass and the grittiness in the high end, and then I match that with the low end. Sometimes when I make beats, I do use multiple basses. I don't always just use one bass throughout the whole track. It just gives everything a different sound. So let's see what we got here. Okay, right here, this is actually a real small snippet of a loop that I got off of Splice. And what I like to do on Splice is I like to take really small snippets. A lot of times I don't really use the whole loop unless the loop is fire. You know what I'm saying? If the loop is fire, I use the whole loop. But most of the time, I really don't. I like to make one notes and one shots and chop those out and then play them on my keyboard how I want it, because it gives me more control, and then also um, it makes my beat sound unique in a world full of samples that a lot of people are using nowadays. You have to find ways to manipulate and tweak and play out the loops and turn them into one shots and make that loop your own personal loop. As you see right here, it's a long, and on every part of this is fire, but I tend to pick the small parts that I personally like and make it do what it do. So let's see what this is. Okay, so right here, it's just me playing another note, something to fill in the top end on on top of that, and what do we got? Another analog Arturia sound. Arctic bells. As you can see, I just played that out right here. Just something to play over the top of everything, right? Real quick. And the song is feeling out real nice right now. Next thing I added was a crash. So we're gonna get into the drums. So you're gonna have a crash. I'm not gonna do the drums separate, but the crash on the one, or coming around the loop, a lot of times it just fills in the song and it makes the drums a lot more authentic. So a lot of times I'll put crashes in my beats depending. And then I got the kick and the snare here. Right here, I want you to notice something right here with the kicks. The kicks, this is actually kicks and hats together. And if you look real close right here, you can see that I took out, these are all mutes. So all these boxes right here, I muted the snare because I really didn't like the snare. So what I did was I muted all the snares and I put my own snare here. And then, with the crash. So with some of the drums. So you can see how that crash, comes in on the one, and yeah, it really makes a difference. Let's see what else I got. Okay, now this is pretty dope right here. This is actually a sample from Serato, once again, from Splice, that I chopped up in Serato. As you can see right here, I only used the very, very beginning. This technique comes from me making music, how I used to make it when I used to sample a lot of records. And, you always put the needle down, usually on the intro, or you would try to find something in the middle where the breaks, where the drums weren't on it, or you would find an empty space on the outro. So a lot of times, I when I go through samples, even if they're digital, what I'll often will do, I'll check the intro and then the beginning and end of whatever sample it is, even if it's digital. And so right here, I found this whole vocal loop is pretty dope. It's a vocal loop, but it also doubles as like a bass, which is pretty dope. So that way, because I like to put vocal chops in a lot of my beats, it fills in some of that vocal space that I like to have in my beats, but it also fills in some of that low end at the same time. So I actually played it more as a bass line than anything else. So, that came out pretty cool. Next sound, let's see what we got. All right, so what I think that sound is, let's go back and see what that is. Okay, it sounds like a horn. So it's a trumpet that I use. Once again, the trumpet just puts a lot of emphasis in the beat, and I also put what I did, an Echo Boy on here. Messed around with the parameters just to try to give it more presence. Yeah, that's it for that. So let's see what else we got. The next sound we got, actually the next two sounds. Okay. So that's another like that. Okay, so Serato sample once again for the Vox, and this is actually It's like a Indian sample, but it kind of had this like I don't know. It kind of had this to me. I put an Echo Boy on there and I messed around with the parameters for the delay, but to me it kind of had like this rock. I don't know, this rock feel to it, where I kind of wanted like I listen to a lot of psychedelic rock, and sometimes you'll hear like these dope like vocal chants. So I just used it very short, put a delay on it. And it just gave me like that old, I don't know, for me, it just sounded like an old rock record in a way. So that's why I use that. And of course, the next sound we have is West Coast Classic. So this is percussion. If you listen to a lot of West Coast, I don't know the me and the homie was just talking about this last week. I don't remember the name. It might be an African instrument. I'm not sure. But if you listen to a lot of G Funk and a lot of West Coast beats, these dudes in the studio will actually have these, and they will actually use them in a lot of West Coast classic joints. So I got lucky and came into labs and just found this on the percussion. Didn't even know it was there, and ended up working. So now let's see what we got. Okay, so what we got here is a flute. And this is actually from the Blue Meanie, which is a really ill like synth that I downloaded from a company called Jiggery Pokery. They make phenomenal sounds. Everything's clean. The sounds you hear on their products for their plugins, you're not going to really hear them in too many other places. So shout out to Jiggery Pokery on that. A lot of West Coast beats too. From they have a lot of the fillers and a lot of the sounds that go. So this is just a filler sound, as well as this next sound right here, which I put on a lot of my beats as a transitional sound right here. Right, and that's also, it's called ID Monster. It's also in the Blue Meanie. And let's see what we got right here. Okay, this is from Thor. It's called Coming in Fourth. Just another kind of like a spooky, kind of like a haunting sound that I put in there on the track. And it gives the track a lot of character. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So when you put them all together once again,